Blog Talk Radio.
Well, hello, groomers and career seekers. This is Steve with GroomerTALK Radio of PetGroomer.com. Thanks for being here tonight with us. If you're listening to a recording, thank you for listening to our recordings. In the news, we just did announce today that Groomer's Choice Pet Products is going to be giving away 2 cases of shampoo to us, and we're going to have a contest on the message board all during the month of October, up until just before Thanksgiving. We're going to play a lot of trivia games, and even if you come by and log in and post any kind of message, you'll have a ticket in the drawing. Our thanks go out to Groomer's Choice. I believe you'll have a choice of Bark to Basics, Coat Handler, and Green Groom. You can mix and match, just win, and go with it. Our thanks again to Groomer's Choice. And then we'll be having another contest for December. It's a Santa's gift basket, and we'll talk about that one later. Tonight we're going to have with us Leel Michelle. Some of you probably know her already if you're a regular and you've seen her blog. Let me explain. Leel is the owner and designer behind the award-winning retro stylist wear and the grooming salon and boutique called Bow Wow Beauty Shop. She's a San Diego native, also calling Los Angeles, New York, and Italy home. Formal education in fine art, art history, and fashion design led this animal-loving entrepreneur to bring all her passion, talents, and knowledge together to create a memorable and beloved retro business for pets and their owners. In 2006, following 2 previous careers in corporate retail and corporate amusement park management, Leel graduated pet grooming school to create and manage an award-winning pet grooming salon and pet boutique. Leel has also grown the Bow Wow Beauty Shop brand to include custom luxury kennels and product lines in production to help the average small business groomer and pet retailer, increase their business profit margin by improving their pet retail merchandising. Most days you'll find Leel at her shop, inspiring other groomers and pet retailers with live Facebook posts on pet boutiques, with her family, or at a trade show, making the world one fabulous, one smile, one smock at a time. Let me bring her on. She is here with us now. Hello, Leel. This is you, yes?
Yes. Hello. How are you?
Well, I'm doing great, thank you. We're just starting up the new fall and into early winter season, and you're going to be our first guest, so welcome aboard.
Oh, that's very exciting. Thank you so much.
Well, I gave the people just the what I know about you especially from your blog, which we'll talk about the blog in a minute and where they can read you on a more regular basis. But why don't you tell us more about Leel Michelle?
Well, that was quite an intro, and definitely sums up my life. In a very short snippet. But I'm just, a mom, a wife, an artist, a designer, an entrepreneur, and I got into the pet grooming industry about 11 years ago after two corporate careers in different fields because, like most of our listeners and groomers across the country and across the world, I, since a little girl, had a really big passion for animals. And so, you know, I just always saw myself doing something in an industry with animals. And, of course, I was one of those groomers that wanted to, you know, when I was a little girl, I wanted to be a veterinarian. And because of my artistic brain, I'm maybe not as good as math as I want it to be. So veterinary school was not in the cards for me, but I did find my way back to this field, dealing with animals and pets after I took a little break from my last career and, you know, just really dug deep and, you know, looked around to, you know, back to my childhood as something that really inspired me and, just gave me a lot of satisfaction, you know. So after, you know, like a lot of other groomers and people in the animal service industry, you know, I never shook that adoration and passion for animals, and so that's really what led me to this field. And you know, I still get all gooey over, you know, dogs that come into my shop every single day, including today. It's Saturday, so I'm at my shop today, and every client that comes in with a pet, I'm still equally as excited about meeting a new pet and pet owner as I was 11 years ago when I opened up Bow Wow Beauty Shop in San Diego.
So what kind of animals did you have as a kid?
I had a little budgie a little blue budgie named Crackers, and I had a black cat, and in our house we also had a white poodle. Although I had no interest or desire, was not involved in the grooming of that dog whatsoever. That dog just went somewhere and came back and was anew, and I had no idea what was involved. But, you know, I'm one of those people that, you know, I will literally stop traffic to, help an animal. I have done it many times, from a pelican on the side of the, in California on PCH to just recently, and my husband got mad at me because I ran into the street and saved a dying pigeon in the middle of the street, and he did not feel that pigeon was worthy of my life. But, you know, what can you do? I was sitting at a restaurant with my daughter, and I saw a pigeon that had been, that was injured, and it was in the middle of the street, and it just looked miserable. So I stopped, 2 lanes of traffic and rescued the bird, and it passed in my hands, but, at least, it went a little more peacefully than being run over and over. So that's just a little tidbit of all the, animal rescues and ridiculousness that animal lovers like groomers and ourselves go through on a daily basis because, it's just our passion. And so being able to work in an industry where we're able to, make a little money doing what we do, that's the best reward of all.
So leading up, I know even with myself, leading up, some of my first jobs as a kid, and of course I grew up in a grooming environment when my mother married into the industry, and I was about 8 or 9 years old. So what kind of jobs did you have, even back to a kid, that you think kind of relate to where you are today?
Honestly, I was an entrepreneur from a really young age, and I would say that when I was younger, it wasn't, I didn't really have any animal-related jobs. I've always been an artist and a designer. So honestly, when I was about 16, I started my own mural company, and I got some corporate gigs painting, holiday windows and things like that, because I was the leader of, my little nerdy art club in high school, and we needed to make some money and, for supplies and such. And so I started a little business, and we would go and, paint murals on the outsides of different businesses. But, I've always been a really hard worker and always very ambitious and motivated, and always had several projects. I would, being an artist since I was born, I would, do, custom logos for people and things like that, as well as, I, just like being a groomer today, don't mind, getting my hands dirty. I used to pull weeds, wash cars, wash windows, babysit, whatever I could do to make a little extra money on the side. So that's what all of those has kind of started out my little entrepreneurial career, at a very young age.
So what was your first important professional job?
My first important professional job would probably be maybe managing Ann Taylor in Beverly Hills in California. I think that I learned a lot, about and then I also moved to New York City to do the same thing. I learned a lot about just having standards, in a, which helps me now in a small business. So, I'm still a little, mom and pop shop, but, we have just a little bit we're just a little bit more polished because of my former corporate background. So that definitely helps. It helped me to put certain, processes in place to help my business be more successful, as well as merchandising, designing, and such. So, even though, I always tell people, even if that's not your chosen career, there's almost always something that you can learn from, your, first several jobs. And, later on down the line, when you are doing what you do and what you love and what, you've looked at, as a goal for yourself, you look back on all of those things that were just stepping stones or building blocks to get you where you're at. And so, those doing all of those things definitely helped me.
And so then at 2006, something must have came to you. You said, I'm going to go into grooming. What happened? How did that come about?
In 2006, I had just ended my career in amusement park management, which was a ton of fun. Little known fact, I used to recruit, hire, and train caricature artists, portrait artists, face painters, hair wrappers, at different amusement parks. And then I used to train across the U.S. doing that as well. I even had my own business, drawing caricatures and face painting and portraits and such with a team that worked for me for private and corporate events for several years. And there's just a certain point I find for me it's generally about every 6 years that, I have a puzzle. I've kind of put that puzzle together, and I kind of need a new puzzle. And so that's where I was in 2006. I really needed a new puzzle. So I, quit my job and, just took the summer off and did some soul searching, and it got me back to, one of the things that I really loved. Two things I always wanted to do in my life was, work in an art field and get paid for my art, which I had done on several different levels, living in Italy and doing landscaping and such. And then the other was working with animals and getting paid to do that as well. And so it just so happened that somebody was selling a salon, a pet salon, about 2 blocks from my house in San Diego. So that put me on the path of doing a lot of research into this industry and figuring out how I can get into this industry. And so I went to work. I actually went to pet grooming school in LA, and on the weekends I would come back and negotiate the lease and the build out of my own salon, which now when I think about that is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard, because I never groomed or worked anywhere else other than my own salon. But through that and through just having the standards that I've had, I've been able to work with really amazing individuals, and here at my shop, and and then obviously going to trade shows and different things like that, continuing my education has definitely, set us apart in a lot of ways from, a lot of our competition, even though we do have some pretty amazing competition here in San Diego.
So comparing all that you did before now to your career to this point in the grooming industry, how do you what's it like? I mean, has it been more challenging or not as challenging? What's really your...
Well, I think one thing that's very frustrating, on the more challenging, is being in an industry where there's not as many industry standards. And, as far as, for example, hairstylists all have to go to school. And I'm not saying everybody has to go to school. There's very, very talented groomers out there, so I'm not at all putting them down. But I think that, that standard in the stylist industry at least starts people off on a particular standard. So I am a big proponent of a school because it gives people a solid foundation from which to start, and standards. I also get really frustrated at the perceived, profession of groomers. I think that, groomers, as I've met all across the country, are some of the hardest, most amazing, hardworking people. And I find a lot of times that the general public, oftentimes don't see this as a true profession, or new applicants don't see it as a true profession. I like to kind of switch that around and make it cool and fun, and that's just my vibe at my shop, and really like to for people to change people's opinion about that. There is an art. There's so much hard work, and there's so many hardworking people in this field. And that's definitely frustrating. As far as what I like less, what's been less challenging, is being able to work in my passion with dogs. I mean, that's definitely, there's very few days where you're not excited when you're here because you meet a new puppy or a new client or one that you really love and adores you, comes into the shop and you love their dog and you love the owner, so that definitely, being able to work in an industry that you're very passionate about is very, very different. I mean, my last, industry I worked for, that was very exciting too, but again, when it's your own business, you get to, do what you want, and that definitely is very enticing. And the other thing that's been less challenging is, getting to meet all these amazing groomers all across the country that I get to meet, and finding out just how hardworking, everybody in this industry is, the professionals that have been doing it a while, because it's just a very physically and mentally and it's sometimes emotionally exhausting field, but that's what keeps it challenging. There's no day that is exactly like another, and that honestly has kept it very challenging for me.
Sure, anyone who has seen your apparel, or seen your shop, knows that you're very creative, and that's kind of environment for you, and pet grooming can give that, and you've given pet grooming a lot of creativity back. And so if anyone hasn't seen your website, really just to see your beautiful shop, let alone the apparel that you've done, they should get online, and we're going to be giving that contact info out to all of them. But why did you feel the need? Here you are running a business. You're a groomer running a business, and you said, I'm going to do apparel. How did that happen?
Well, I had tried different uniforms, throughout the years, and just like a lot of other groomers have been to the shows and always was looking for another, product that, or another uniform that my staff could wear, that would, just keep our standards high in the shop. And I had a graveyard of grooming apparel with tattered zippers and ripped pockets and broken seams in the back of the house in my shop. And so I thought, I want to design something for my staff. I want it to be retro because it matches my shop. We're very 50s retro. I'm very well known for our retro appeal. And so originally I just started designing for my own staff. And, in the beginning, my own staff, in shop were, the models for everything, for our website, for our marketing, for our banners, and so forth. And, and feedback from my staff on, where should we place the pocket, where, what kind of zipper, how does that fit, how long does it last, can we wash it, over and over every single day and not have to be real delicate with it. So all of those factors played a role. And, I honestly didn't actually intend to make a line for everybody else. I thought I was just going to make some, outfits for my shop. But then I have, quite a few friends across the country that had been following my shop, and, we were friends on Facebook, and they saw a couple pictures that I posted, and it was almost immediate, like, where did you get that? I want one of those. And so my very first show was in Pasadena 3 years ago, and probably within an hour of being at that show, we started booking for the next show, and then that show we booked for the next show. So that's really what started it all, just wanting to have some quality, functional, fashionable uniforms for my staff, and, it just kind of caught on in a big way.
What do you think are the main selling points of your apparel?
Definitely having durable fabric that is, you can wash and wear daily. We throw everything in our washers. We, are fortunate to have, washer and dryer on site. So, I wanted to make very durable fabric that you don't have to be gentle with, that you can just throw in the wash every single day, and tested that on my staff for a while before we actually brought it to market. So a durable fabric that is bleach and dye resistant and doesn't shrink and doesn't fade under normal conditions. That's probably our secret sauce. That's the number one thing that kind of separates our smocks from our competition. Then also, I just kind of targeted all the issues that I had prior with other smocks, which were not having a very good quality zipper. And I did make my mistakes in the beginning because, I'm learning just like, everybody else does when they first start a new venture. And very quickly we changed from these really, nice blingy plastic zippers to YKK zippers because they're the best in the fashion industry. And coming from a fashion or retail, women's retail professional background, those things were really, really important to me. So we changed to, the number one zipper in the fashion industry that all the big brands wear and use to design their own lines. And then, one of the things as a groomer that's very frustrating is those pockets that, if you're intaking a pet and their foot gets caught in your pocket and or you go to hand it off to a groomer or, the pet parent, that foot would get caught in there and just rip it off. So I decided that I was going to have vertical zipped pockets so that we could actually use the pockets for ourselves and, make them big enough that we could put our cell phones, our tips in there and not have to worry about, all the little ickies that happen sometimes and with some of the other smocks where, you might get a little Tootsie Roll hanging out in your pocket because you intook that dog and it lands right in your, open pocket. So I just kind of, problem solved basically, the different problems that I had. And in addition, we wanted to make sure that we're not just making a one-size-fits-all because so many bodies are so different. And so, you have some tall, slim people, you have some short, petite people, you have very curvaceous people in our industry as well. So I wanted to create, just like the fashion industry, different silhouettes to fit different body types. So, when I'm at a trade show and, a certain body type comes up and asks, hey, I want to, how do these fit? Can I try it on? I'll know, just like when I used to work in retail, when there's a lot of different silhouettes, I'll know what fits, what body type. And so I kind of design it based more on my past fashion experience rather than just a one-size-fits-all silhouette. And I feel like, it makes groomers look and feel more confident. There's no reason why this industry, we shouldn't have really fabulous apparel that's functional and of quality, because if we, feel good and look good, then we're going to perform our jobs better. And, it gets dirty. It gets dirty in a grooming salon, but you still want to look good. You still, somebody comes in that door and you use the HB dryer to blow yourself off and you go up front and you look amazing. And so that's really what I wanted to bring to the market for our industry because, I'm a groomer. I have to live in it and work in it every day as well, when I'm at my shop. So that's kind of, some of the main selling points that, has probably helped us to sell out often, and it's a ton of fun.
It is, and I always enjoy putting some of your things up on a Groomer Talk message board. We have one of your latest I don't remember the name of it at this moment, but a new, and immediately there it started a conversation. Groomers love to talk about their apparel too. It's been real fun to watch when you come out with new things and to see what people say with them. And I do appreciate
yes,
vertical
exactly.
pockets because I still worked in the family business for years, and it's so true. I think at the end of the day, we didn't have Dremels in the beginning. And I must have had 20, 30 pieces of nail in my pockets by the end of the day.
Yes, exactly.
The crud that would accumulate in them. So that was a
great thing.
Yes.
Mhm.
But as you said, the
little
dogs
fur
getting
balls
their
and all the other icky stuff.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. It was like, whoa. Well, so how do people? Let's give people who may be listening now. Where would they go to see your designs and to make purchases?
Well, we sell directly off our own website, which is www.retrostylistwear.com. And, in addition to that, we have we're in now 7 different countries. So for anyone that's listening in Europe, Japan, Australia, Canada, or the Netherlands, you can also find us there. We've got different distributors. You can find some of those links on our website on retrostylistwear.com as well. And so, that's been really exciting. I honestly didn't intend for it. It's just how things snowball. But, outside of our country as well, a lot of people really like, retro Americana. And so we've got some pretty big fans, globally that really like our apparel as well. So that's been a ton of fun being able to meet those people. I just got to meet, one of our biggest distributors, Laura from Christie's Direct from Europe. We got to meet her at Hershey, so that was a ton of fun. It's really nice to do business with other really nice, hardworking people like myself, and being able to have, that support from people that kind of believe in what we're doing and see the need for it. And that's been a fun ride so far.
I think it's interesting you mentioned Netherlands. They just started giving me statistics on the listening audience outside of the United States. And, of course, we know Canada would be a big chunk, but 8% of the listeners are in the Netherlands. And
that's wonderful.
7% are Norway. 7% are Norway.
Oh, wow.
Some of the, of course, Italy's there, and the UK is there. But I thought, particularly that's a very strong showing for the Netherlands.
That is. Well, I have to say that my distributor from Sensei Netherlands she is quite active on Facebook, and in fact, it was in her social media and so forth. And she told me the very first time where she took a picture of me at Hershey last year in our award-winning polka dot smock. And then she came back about 2 hours later, and she showed me her post. She just took a picture of me and posted it. And because I think she just wanted to get, a little temperature of how that was going to fare. And she goes, "Oh my goodness, look at this, look at all these posts." And she just went down pages and pages and pages of, people on her, in her social media that was just making so many comments. And she said, "This is one of the best posts I've ever had. It's unbelievable." and so she became, one of my distributors. So, that was really fun to be able to do that, and hopefully I'll get to go there and attend one of those trade shows one year. That'll be, a ton of fun, of course.
That would be. So what's in the future for Retro Stylist Wear?
Well, with Retro Stylist Wear, we are going to be refining our collection a little bit. We are going to be taking out some sizes that maybe are, underperforming a little bit, and also taking out some, several styles and colors that not styles so much, but maybe repetitive colors that aren't selling as well as some others. And what that will do is just really give us an opportunity to bring out some more styles and to add some colors in some of our highest performing designs. We've had between distribution and trade shows and the website and different platforms that we're on. We've had a challenge, and this is a good challenge to have, but we have had a challenge all year long just to keep up with the demand. So we are going to, and so that's why we're looking at, next year is going to be a great year for us in that we're going to kind of refine our line a little bit and bring out some really new and exciting designs that are nothing like anything else that's on the in the industry right now. So I'm keeping that very quiet until it happens, and usually, I will unveil a new style at a trade show, and so that's, there's a lot of buzz around that. It's really fun, and, people want to know. People want to try the hot new thing, and so that's always a ton of fun to make it, who knew a smock company could be so much fun, but it is, when we've got new styles coming out and such.
Well, that's what I think. I think what you just said there really sums up the feeling that I get when I look at your shop and I look at your blog and I look at your wear. Fun plays a big part of it, and I think fun really is important for us to have fun, because you're right. The amount of patience and skills that it takes to be a groomer, and not everyone in the world does appreciate that or has any idea. I think adding fun really lightens the load of that intensity of what it is to be a great groomer. So,
yes, I think you're right. Yeah, I think you're right, and I think that, I find that there's a lot of groomers. I mean, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how much of a, celebrity you are in this industry, you still wash dog butts. I mean, that's when it comes down to it. And you can't take yourself that seriously. I mean, this is fun. You get to, it's a fun industry to be in. And, I definitely like to take advantage of that. And I definitely like to, have a lot of balance in my life, and I will, I can work like a CEO and party like a rock star with the best of them, but at the end of the day, if you're not having fun what you're doing, I think that there needs to be a change. So fun definitely plays a role. I can be very serious and business minded and entrepreneurial, but at the end of the day, if you're not having fun and you're not passionate about it, then I don't really see what the point is. So I'm glad that you can see that, because I do try to convey that as well.
Yes, it is very important. Not every groomer decorates their shop. Now, at your place, my mother actually was pretty well. She had a very British impact into her design of the place, but that was part of her fun, was to not be like a regular shop around. Everyone knew, oh, that's Maddie's design. She was doing wallpapers back then. We're going back to 60s and whatever, but it really stood out from the other place. But it brought fun into her, into that environment. And if it was a holiday, all of us pitched in, and we loved to decorate the place because, again, it's a very intense, fast-moving place. But it was fun, and it took our mind off of that intensity, make it fun. So, tell me, what's going to be in the future for you?
Well, I would say that I'll keep doing what I'm doing. In addition, we have my blog that was just started not too long ago, The Art of Retailing for Groomers, and we also have, that was kind of born out of my group that I co-host with another groomer from Canada called Pet Boutiques. And, before Retro Stylist Wear, for years and years, just because of the uniqueness of my shop and catching the eye of a lot of groomers, here in the U.S. and internationally, I, for years and years, have gotten calls, emails, messages, and so forth, asking advice on certain things that I do differently. And so one thing after going to all these trade shows that I realized that, I would see constantly over and over throughout the years that, groomers wanted to do retail, but it seemed like there was such a big hurdle to be able to add, retail and a pet boutique in their salon, because there's a lot that goes into it. And, so groomers would tell me, and the reason why I say that is because I do quite a bit of retail in my grooming salon as well. So up front, I have a very well-known kind of, dog bakery bar where I sell, really beautiful cakes and cupcakes and dog beer out of my self-serve vintage fridges. And we sell a lot of clothing and costumes and dog treats. And I have a very, unique treat bar and things like that. And so I would get a lot of calls, emails, and inquiries about that. And I would answer them because, I feel like if you have the knowledge, I think it's very selfish not to, share it. And, if my competition, which I've seen, takes some of my ideas, that's okay. I still have more, So I felt like, the constant complaint I would hear from groomers is, yeah, I really want to do retail, and I bought some stuff, but, it just didn't sell. So I just started asking questions, how are you displaying it? How many do you have? What do you know about merchandising? What do you know about marketing? And a lot of those questions went unanswered. And so one thing that I wanted to help, groomers keep that retail money in their shops because, we're big influencers over, for our clients. So we can influence their purchasing decisions. So instead of sending, if your client is asking your recommendation on a shampoo or a toothpaste, or they want to pick up a collar, a leash, or a pet costume, why would we send them down the street, to somebody else, to either our corporate competition or somebody else? That can just be an additional revenue stream. And for those times where clients cancel, or they you're having a slow day or something like that, a lot of times that retail kind of helps keep your income going. So just teaching groomers that you can have different revenue streams, and it does require work and education and all of those things. It's easier to kind of teach groomers through these little bite-sized bits, through Facebook, through live Facebook posts. So a lot of times I will go on our Pet Boutiques group and do a live Facebook post on different items that either I've had a challenge in the past, or, one of the groomers in that group have, asked, hey, do you sell, raw food, or how do you merchandise, treats, or how do you merchandise poo bags, or a lot of different things like that. So it's easier to take little bite-sized bits and go over them ever so often. And it's just been such a pleasure, and we've had so many success stories of groomers, some groomers selling more in retail than in grooming, and just by some little tweaks that myself and several other fabulous members in the group with a lot of experience is able to relate to, share, and educate amongst the group. So it's a very lovely group. So that's where the art of retailing for groomers that came out of our Pet Boutiques group, and I just have a host of really wonderful people in there with so much knowledge in different areas, and we can all we're a community that just helps each other out to be more successful and just add an additional revenue stream. And it's I really love getting feedback of when somebody's able to actually make more money as a result of and sometimes it's significant too, as a result of that group. So I really appreciate having that opportunity and being an inspiration to so many amazing, hardworking people across the country.
Great. Now let me get some info here. I'm going to, because recently we redid the page of PetGroomer.com to make this easier for everybody. You don't have to go to read the GroomWise blogs directly to www.groomwise.com. You can also just remember everything now is easily accessible. Each individual blog, even now, if you just go to the regular PetGroomer.com, it's designed there, all different now, and right there you're going to see Leel's blog banner there, and you can click and you can find her blog easily. We're just really getting it going, and I know we have a new post that's coming up pretty soon, especially now that we got out of the sort of the trade show circuits winding down. Everyone starts getting a lot busier. And so hopefully we'll have something new from you pretty soon for that. But there are posts already up there, so folks, if you haven't read it yet, come by it. Take a look. You'll see all of our great bloggers there. We have some very committed writers there, and even some have already won awards for their GroomWise blog. So please just remember, just go to PetGroomer.com, and you can find that. Now, Leel, you go ahead and give your website address out to them and any other contact info that you want.
I will. Thank you. And I just wanted to say that I know you guys have done such an amazing job. I know it's taken so long, having a multitude of websites myself. I can understand the challenges that you guys face, but I am really loving that website, and I do appreciate all of your guys' hard work. It has really come along really well. So I highly, I always tell groomers, go to PetGroomer.com because there's so much great content on there. And so I really appreciate you guys doing that. And, as far as, communication for us, you can reach us through www.retrostylistwear.com, or you can give us a call at our shop at 619-692-0962, or feel free to email us at info@retrostylistwear.com. As well as, definitely follow us online on our Facebook page. We have a lot of stuff going on there all the time. And if you're a groomer that has a salon that just wants some tips on how to start your retail business, feel free to find us at a Facebook group called Pet Boutiques. And just make sure that we can see that you're an actual groomer, because we don't allow any advertising on that particular group. It's just really a support group, unless we have added an educational element to it so that we can all learn from one another. So those are all the ways that you can contact us for anything.
Okay, Leel, thank you very much, and thank you for helping us kick off the first season of this following, I should say, in fall. It's our first season, and we will be continuing everyone this year up till close to Christmas, and then we'll take a break, and we'll be back in January, February, and March with another round of shows as well. We've got about 30 different guests coming this season, so thanks, Leel, for being here and giving us a great start. We really enjoyed speaking with you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, and have a great season. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Not to get too sentimental, but at Les Schwab Tires, we think there's nothing more beautiful than the changing of the seasons. Except, of course, the seasonal changing of the tires. So if the weather takes a turn, and you find yourself in need of some all-season tires, well, you ought to know Les Schwab's having one of our biggest sales of the year. Head our way before the weather does, and we'll make sure you're good to go. Les Schwab Tires. Doing the right thing matters. Not to get too sentimental, but at Les Schwab Tires, we think there's nothing more beautiful than the changing of the seasons. Except, of course, the seasonal changing of the tires. So if the weather takes a turn, and you find yourself in need of some all-season tires, well, you ought to know Les Schwab's having one of our biggest sales of the year. Head our way before the weather does, and we'll make sure you're good to go. Les Schwab Tires. Doing the right thing matters.